Still working on improving it. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Angry MGTOW here. Oh, shoot. All right, there we go. We got the right screen for you. Angry MGTOW here. And today we're talking about stuff. Today we're talking about why feminist white women are organizing a global women's march. How's that for a topic for you guys? Yeah. The annoying feminists are at it again. So basically, the Women's March on Washington was not enough, where they danced around talking about their menstrual cycles and wearing vagina hats. Oh no, that was not enough. In fact, it seems like it's just the beginning of the year of insanity as feminism dies and they refuse to go down without a loud roar. You know, my grandmother used to say that an empty pot makes the most noise, which is absolutely true. Because as it goes down, it starts to crick and clank all over the place. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this article that is actually published all over the place. We're going to be looking at it from the Federalist. And again, this is just one of the many media sources that's actually talking about the issue and what's happening with the loony feminist right now. So let's go ahead and jump on into it, shall we? Go ahead, women's marchers, strike, nobody will miss you. This article is actually written by Rebecca Curtis, and Rebecca looks like she's either a millennial, she's not a millennial, she's either a Generation Xer or a young boomer. Here's what she has to say. The people who headed up the Women's March on Washington a few weeks ago now have a strike in the works. They should think carefully before starting. And the article continues, a strike is not the same thing as a protest. A strike matters because it interferes with material production. When there's a strike at the North Pole, the elves stop making toys. If Santa Claus has no toys, kids stop leaving him cookies. This forces Santa Claus to negotiate with the elves so they go back to producing. If the elf strike succeeds, it is for two reasons. First, the elves cooperate with each other. If just a few quit working, they only make more work for the other working elves, then get fired by Santa Claus. Second, the elves make something that people want before the strike. People miss their product when it disappears. If the elves only made knockoff Barbies with pre-snarled hair before the strike, or if not enough elves quit working to make a real dent in production, their strike won't work. That was a terrible example. This actually came from the article. Women's strike problem 1, worker cooperation. The first problem is uniting the workers for the strike. Things at the shop are so bad that the great majority of workers have agreed to take the risk of refusing to work. They can only help themselves by helping each other, sharing the risk and making the line together. Crossing picket lines betrays a fellow scalp, and the evidence is that there's a picket line to cross. Feminists would like to make scabs out of women who disagree with them or have more pressing duties than activism. But what if there are more scabs than strikers? So if there were 6 million marchers on January 21st, that leaves more than 310 million Americans who didn't show up in DC at their nearest local march. Let's say 10 people wanted to march for everyone who did, which makes 60 million wish I could marchers. We still haven't collected enough people to bargain. We don't have enough strikers building a picket line. The remaining workers would hesitate to cross. And in real life, picket lines are made of people, not wishes. In these right-to-work days, we couldn't even makeshift an effective union. Enough workers are enough satisfied to keep the shop open. Women's strike problem 2, material production. What kind of shop are we talking about here? Anyway, that's the Marcher's second problem. Committed contrarian Janet Bloomfield analyzed the male and female U.S. workforces a few years ago and reached a conclusion. If women took the day off, with the sole exception of nurses, nothing would happen. Guys, Janet Bloomfield analyzed the male and female U.S. workforces a few years ago and reached this conclusion. If women took the day off, with the sole exception of nurses, nothing would happen. No one would die. Now, I'm going to pause right here and point out why this is interesting. Think about it logically. If women took the day off, there'd be no female police officers. But keep in mind that male police officers are the ones who handle the vast majority of violent crimes. Okay? Or all crimes, in fact. Most female police officers are working inside, or they're being hovered around by male police officers. They typically don't get their hands dirty. Okay, what about female doctors? Female doctors only make up a subset of the number of working physicians. To top it off, male physicians make up the bulk load of patients, of taking care of patients. So female physicians typically go home at the end of the day, while male physicians work the late night shifts, work the long hours, put in the major time. So even if the workforce is split between male and female physicians, which it's not, there's more male physicians than female physicians right now. Regardless of that, male physicians would still make up the bulk labor, so no one would die without female physicians coming into work. The only reason why nurses would actually make a difference is because there are significantly more female nurses than male nurses. In fact, they outnumber male nurses probably something like 10-1. So at that point, with female nurses choosing not to come in, they are the support staff. That would make a huge difference, and it would make it very difficult for doctors to get their jobs done. Aside from that, female pilots. There are no female pilots, or should I put it like this? There are very few. So there would be no planes that are being held up because females are not coming into work to move the planes. Food production, moving food, men are the ones who drive all the trucks in the United States, in fact all over the world. What about on the farms, food production? Men are the ones who kill the chickens, kill the cows, produce the food. What about the roads? Men are the ones who shovel the snow, keep the roads clean. What about anything? When you actually look at it, women pretty much contribute to virtually nothing. If you say, what about at the grocery store, the female cashier? The owner of the store will simply cash people out, which is probably going to be a man. And if that's not the case, then if you go to Walmart, they'll just find men that'll actually do it. Or they also have automated cash, they also have an automated line. So while people might end up spending a little bit longer going through the automated line, it might actually be faster than waiting for a cashier when you think about it, which could potentially lead to more cashiers losing their job in the long run. No one would starve. Nothing really would happen. In fact, it would potentially just lead more companies to say we need to automate out the jobs that women do in the first place faster. Mainly cashiers. ATMs are already replacing tellers in banks, and Amazon Go is already pioneering to get rid of cashiers, period. So there you go. No one would really miss women if women decided to take a day off and to strike. But let's jump into the article a little bit more. So, Janet Bloomfield analyzed the male and female U.S. workforces a few years ago and reached this conclusion. If women took the day off, with the sole exception of nurses, nothing would happen. No one would die. The world would continue to function. The hair salons and primary schools and retail clothing stores would close, and male management structure would have to find some way to answer their own phones for a day, but essentially nothing would happen. Bloomfield details what the world would look like if Atlas shrugged, using numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's worth the read. Men overwhelmingly work in the places that keep the sine qua nons of contemporary life operational. They have the jobs that generate and deliver our electricity and gas. They build and maintain the robots in our kitchens and garages. They take out almost all of the trash. They run Die Hearst machine Hyundai Molosh machine. And this list could go on and go on for a long time. But if Atlas concubine doesn't show up for her job, this is a woman making fun of women, guys, which she has a hard time describing, but involves a lot of social media platforms and the word facilitator. And Atlas' sisters boldly cancels her classes, which leaning on her advices to don stupid hats. And Atlas's mom doesn't put his birthday card in the mail. Atlas isn't going to care. Essentially, the world isn't going to give a damn if women don't show up for work. We've tried this before to no effect. The march itself was an informative trial run for the proposed strike. Every person who marched that day was not at their job, paid or unpaid, but the gears of civilization failed to grind to a halt. Planes took off and landed. Appendixes were removed. Sewage left our houses and never came back. The only people who missed the marchers were those with whom they share domiciles. To be fair, the march was on a Saturday. Lots of people have Saturday off. But there was also a women's strike the day before. You got it, Friday. That day, 7,408 women refused to work. The number of oppressors they brought to their negotiation table has not yet been reported. She's mocking them. A stronger women's strike effort was hosted by Betty Freuden on August 26, 1970. That was a Wednesday. 20,000 strikers showed up in New York, while other strikes were held around the country. Do you remember the stock market catastrophe that day? Do you remember the gridlock on every interstate and how there were no cornflakes for weeks? No, because they didn't happen. The most significant economic impact of those events was probably the amount of travel and hype they generated. In other words, people made quite a bit of money these days. When women decided to take a day off, they basically spend that day pumping money back into the economy through materialism. Go figure. The absence of all those marchers or strikers from their normal task on each of those 3 days failed to depress the systematically sexist GDP. Them being offset from their normal work did not shut down the shop. Donald Trump filled his sleigh with racist toys and put them in stockings all over Michigan and Pennsylvania. That means the events didn't work as strikes. 1 day of absence from work brought no significant material loss to anyone higher up. The economy isn't smiling, it's just gas. The workforce has enough women in it that if they all agreed not to show up, there would be a noticeable public impact. The difficulty from a striker's perspective is that most of the work women do would still get done. Basically, men would just make up for it. The day women don't show up for work would be the day women take care of their own kids, make their own lunches, and wash their own dishes. If they kept not coming to work, a lot of unemployed men would get jobs, a lot of made-up jobs would get unmade up, and a lot of women would move back in with their parents. The economy would technically shrink, but the greater impact would be its reconfiguring. An extended exodus of women from the formal workforce would primarily amount to an undoing of the tangled job trading women do with each other. The day men don't show up for work, however, will be a trial run for Armageddon. It will be cold and dark. There won't be phones, TV, or internet. And people will yell at you if you open the fridge. If men kept not coming to work, the only people happy would be preppers. So marchers, consider, if you call a strike, make it a real one. It needs to halt production. It needs to cripple the economy. It needs to empty the bellies of the overlords and make them beg for the sweet music of your demands. Traditionally, strikes last longer than 1 day. In the absence of a union, strikers don't get paid. So you should factor that in. Skilled nurses will be key, but I don't have any great leads after that. I'm genuinely curious to see if you can get it done. Rebecca Curtis is a housewife with a writing and indexing hobby. She has written Babel, Touchstone, Modern Reformation, Forthcoming, and is author of Ladylike, a collection of essays from Concordia Publishing House. That's the author. Guys, did you see what she said about what if men took the day off? The day men don't show up for work, however, will be a trial run for Armageddon. It will be cold and dark. There won't be phones, TV, or internet, and people will yell at you if you open the fridge. Oh my gosh. If men kept like coming to work, the only people happy would be preppers. Guys, so that's the article, and it's hilarious because it really highlights what the world would look like without men. No men, if men decided to just say fuck it for one single day, if men announced, okay, we're not going to go into work for one single day, it would be the trial run for Armageddon. In fact, the day that men take off, it would cost the economy so much money, it's ridiculous. I'll tell you guys a story. I used to live in New York City. I've told you that before. And when I lived in New York, there was this thing called the MTA strike. It happened a number of years ago. When the MTA strike happened, no one could get into Manhattan. No one could get to their jobs. It was really bad. And sure, there were people driving, and it was crazy. They said something like, they passed this rule that if you're going to drive across the Brooklyn Bridge, you have to bring people in. You got to pick people up off the street and bring them over the bridge with you. I mean, it was just that severe. It was that severe because everything literally shut down. The MTA, that's the Metro Transit Association, or something like that. That's the group that basically runs the buses. They manage the bridges. They manage the trains. Pretty much all public transportation is run by the MTA. The MTA went on strike around Christmas, and when they went on strike, they shut the entire city down. Nothing could get done. This is just the MTA, guys. This is the MTA. It was nearly impossible to travel in the entire city because there was gridlock amount of traffic, because without public transportation, that means that there are going to be more cars on the road. If there are more cars on the road, that means that it's much more difficult to travel and to navigate. Again, all of this happened as a result of the MTA going on strike. And the MTA is predominantly men. It's predominantly male-held organization. And when the MTA went on strike, everything went to hell. They were on strike for a number of days. And again, they shut down the city. This is just the MTA, guys. People were going hungry. A lot of things went to hell. People were walking miles when the MTA refused to run the buses, when they refused to run the trains, and the city lost over $1 billion. Maybe it was something like, it was either $1 billion or billions of dollars a day. They lost tons and tons of money every single day that the MTA refused to operate, that men refused to go into work. Now ask yourself this, guys. Ask yourself, if this just the MTA public transportation, which is heralded by men, shut down, and it resulted in that much trouble, what do you guys think would happen when men basically say, we're not going to do anything? When I used to live in New York, I spent some time in upstate New York also. And one of the things I noticed was that there were guys who shovel the snow. There are people who always have to shovel the snow in the winter. They make enough money during the winter so they don't have to work at any other time in the year. So they basically spend, let's say, 4 or 5 months throughout the year just working on the streets and shoveling snow. The thing is that when you do that job, you have to wake up at any given time of the morning. During those months, your schedule is more hectic, way more hectic than a police officer, than a first responder. Literally, you are the first responder. You have to be out there cleaning the streets at any given time, because if you're not, there are no cops, there are no first responders, there's no EMS, there's no paramedics, none of that, because people can't go anywhere. So they have to be on the streets at all given times. And I've watched some of these guys drive erratically, and the cops basically don't say anything to them. Because if these guys aren't on the streets, cleaning the streets, nothing gets done. No one goes anywhere. Okay? These are just small examples of two jobs that men predominantly do. In fact, the guys who clean the streets, like shovel the snow, like with those cars that run the cars that actually clean the snow are in the winter, those are only men. If those two groups of people will shut down the Northwest entirely, they'll shut down the highways, there will be no one going anywhere. Don't you guys get it? They can shut everything down. The day men in multiple professions decide that they are not going to do anything, it will be a trial run for Armageddon. Not only would it be a trial run for Armageddon, the economy would lose so many billions. It'd probably lose something like $5 to $10 billion a day. It would lose so much money in that single day that it would potentially take years to recoup the losses from that single day. Not only that, the shutdown from men basically taking off for a single day would take potentially weeks, if not months, just to get the balls rolling again. Because there would be such a gridlock on food production, on moving items. It would be miserable. Travel would have to be rescheduled. Packages. Again, it would be terrible. Food. There would be a major shortage of food. Let me explain how food actually works in the United States. Food is basically delivered every single day. Every single day. So basically, Walmart operates like this. They basically, to prevent them from wasting anything, from losing, from stocking things they don't need, it's on an in and out basis. So basically, they restock as things run out. So it doesn't look like they're running out to the consumer, but that's because they have such a tight schedule where they're constantly restocking on virtually a daily basis. So you heard me right. They're restocking bread every 24 to 48 hours. They're restocking meat every 24 to 48 hours. This is not a game. This is the truth. The average person only has about 48 hours worth of food. And the stores are only stocked with about 24 to 48 hours worth of food. Now, what happens if men take a single day off? If men take a single day off working in the factories and also delivering food, well, that's a day where food shortages will happen. So that means that it'll take at least a day or two to get production going again. It'll also take a couple of days. It'll also take at least a day or two to get food to all the various stores that are missing food, which means that you'll actually need more trucks than you actually have to stock the food to stock up for the food shortages. Again, guys, it would create such a major catastrophe that you would literally have a situation where it would take a great deal of time to restock every store as people are running out and buying as much food as they possibly can. And also, let's talk about the banks. The banks would be closed. Getting money out of the bank would be impossible because it's men who monitor the banking system. Oh, it's all automated. There's men behind the machines. So going into the banks would all be closed. So it'd be very difficult to get any money out. There'd probably be a setup like Greece where you could only get $50 out. Yet again, we'd be looking at Armageddon. And it'd be hilarious watching the women saying, we don't need men, because at that point they'd be hollering and screaming. Then let's talk about the bastards of single mothers who would be running in the streets committing as many crimes as possible. They'd be breaking into stores, breaking into homes, because if there are no men working that day, then there are no cops working that day. And I know there's some guys saying, well, I'll have my gun and I'll be waiting for them. Those are the preppers. The preppers will be laughing their asses off as they're sitting there with a stock barrel shotgun and on tons of food and water. That's something that they're not worried about. However, for the average person who has not prepared, which is virtually almost everyone in the United States, you're going to have people starving. You're going to have women being attacked in their homes. You're going to literally have the start of Armageddon. It is going to be something out of The Walking Dead. This is what women have created. This is a scenario that women have created in the United States, thinking that they are men. If men stop doing anything, if men literally take a day off, it would fuck things up so badly that we would literally just be coming back from the brink of Armageddon. Feminist white women are organizing a global women's strike, but the truth is no one gives a damn. If women don't come into work for a day, nothing goes wrong. The world doesn't come to an end. People don't starve, and life goes on, man. But if men decide to stop doing anything, if men decide to stop coming into work, if men decide to just say fuck it for a single day, then everything is going to go to hell. We're going to starve. The world is going to enter a cold period, and we may never come out of it. I want to know if you guys agree that feminist white women organizing a global women's strike means absolutely nothing, as it will actually change nothing in society. But if men were to go on strike, it would literally be the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end for mankind, the beginning of the end for humanity, as men are the ones who keep the wheels turning. I want to know what you guys think in the comments section. I also want to point out that I make about 3 of these videos every single day. So if you want to help me to continue making more quality content, please consider becoming a Patreon. You can make donations via Patreon. It's the best way to do it. You can become a regular Patreon. You can become a Patreon for as little as $5 a month. So please consider becoming a Patreon so I can continue putting out quality content for you guys. I put out at least 90 videos every single month. Did you guys hear me? I put out at least 90 videos every single month for you guys. So I'm one of the most active channels on YouTube. Definitely please become a Patreon. You can also make donations through Patreon using PayPal, but this will be reoccurring donations, so you can make a $5 donation every single month. This ensures that I continue to make quality content for you guys and make this a full-time job. So definitely go ahead and check out my Patreon. You'll find a link to it on my YouTube homepage or a link to it in the description of this video. So definitely check that out. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to enable notifications. By enabling notifications, you will never miss another video from me whenever I'm live streaming or whenever I put out another video. So just click on the little notification button below any video next to the subscribe button. When you do that, click on the button that says send me all notifications for this channel. Hit save. If you've already done it, you don't have to do it again. Just make sure you check the little box and you will always receive a notification whenever I'm live streaming or whenever I put out another video. So never miss another Angry MGTOW video ever again. And if you get caught up with that subscribe bug, this will ensure you will still receive notifications even if you get unsubscribed from this channel. So let me know if you agree that if feminist white women organizing a global women's strike will actually make a difference, or if in reality it's not going to leave a dent, which I honestly can say it will not. But if men were to ever try something along the lines, they would probably be, if men ever tried some bullshit along this lines, the government would probably call it treason of sorts, because they'd say that men are essentially trying to bring the country to its knees. It would, not only that, I mean, it would literally open us up for damnation from a country like North Korea that would say, we've been waiting for this moment. Again, it would be Armageddon. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, definitely go ahead and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MGTOW or death. And cheers. That was a really good fucking video. Yeah.